All right, folks, let's do some spirals and twirls. So what we're trying to do here is get the idea of getting something to twist around. So if I have like this, my two-headed arrow idea, right? That's pretty easy to understand that everything connects. But once I twist it like this, it's a little bit, can be a little bit more confusing for some people, but the main thing is to keep those same ideas connected. So you can see it's a little kind of hard to make it straight. It kind of has to curve down a little bit, right? So if I was to take that here, my arrow there, I'll have my other arrow go down like that. And so now I'm going to have this part of my arrow curve here. This one is going to curve here, right? And then you can see I have this little flat part. And then this center line is going to come up onto that and continue on here to the rest of my arrow. So if it's not transparent, you still want to have that idea of the connection of these sides, right? And the connection of that center line. But if it's an opaque thing like a leaf, then you're not going to see that, and that's going to have to be implied, right? Maybe a little bit of shadow to help out. Over here to our ellipse. So I've got this kind of basically plotted out. So if those tangent points, it's where the ellipse would connect the edge of my box. Like that. Now, if I was looking at the top of my cylinder, I wouldn't see the top part of this ellipse there, right? So it'd be something like this. Now, if I was to cut my cylinder at an angle like this, you could see that that would be an ellipse now, even if you're looking dead on it. So, let's do that with this drawing a little bit. It might look something a little bit like this. So if I get rid of that. Something like that. All right. Kind of like that idea. All right. So, if we look at this piece of rope, you can see it's not totally unlike that, but it is a little bit different because there's more of an S shape. So it curves here and then it cuts around, but still, it's kind of like overall, it's kind of like a knot bias. All right. Let's look at another thing that might help us wrap our heads around this. So if I was to look at this folded paper right here, you can see I've got this set up here, which if this was mechanical drafting, this would be the pitch, top parts of those peaks, right? All right, so what I can do is I could estimate the thickness of these strips, like that. This would connect to here, this would connect to there, this would connect to here, this would connect to there, like that. All right, so I'd figure out, what was in front of what, make sure there's clear overlap, like that, and then erase what I didn't need. And I'd end up with these kind of rhomboid shape as my primary unit. But I need something that's rounder, right? Because if I look at my rope, it's got that S shape. Grab a piece of paper and wrap it around my tube. I'm starting to see those shapes that I want. So how are we going to get that? So let's take another little. So if this is breakdown, a 1x2 breakdown for an ellipse, right? So 1 inch this way, 2 inch that way, subdivided. So I want if I do it 1/4 at a time, it would be coming straight that way, and I can work my way around 1/4 at a time, or I could just try to draw it more fluidly. All right, so, but what I need is that S shape. So what if I looked at each quarter like this and just like moved it over and duplicated it? So let me show you what I mean by like that rather than try to explain it. That was here, and then I repeated it right there, look like that. And if I took this one and I put it here, and then I take this one here and repeat it like that, this shape is starting to look a bit more like what we want for that kind of rope piece. So let's go back over here to my little breakdowns, and let's do this one. Actually, I'll do it on this one here. So I want that sort of S shape. So I'm gonna curve it this way here, and I'll curve it this way here. So this way here, this way here, like that. Okay. So I can also then put in these little triangles like that. So now, if I'm trying to get like this kind of rope idea, I could have a little bit of a lighting effect. I guess that was a little too close, huh? All right. Dope. Yeah, that looks better. All right. Put my little triangles in. Little lighting effect, but this sort of rope segment is also kind of like a cylinder, right? So it should have a shadow. It should have a shadow side, a light side as well. So let's do that. So let's have this be in shadow down here. That core shadow can kind of describe the contour. So I'd have it like just like I had those little triangles here. Have a little bit of a curve right there to just every opportunity I can to try to explain what the form is doing. Try this pencil. All right, so now let's see if we can do the helix thing. So for the helix, we're going to have to kind of start combining these two ideas. So let's kind of plot out our basic thickness of our piece of paper. This will connect to that. Just estimating here quickly. All right, so now I need that S idea. So I'm going to curve it this way, just like that 1/4 of an ellipse, and then I will curve it this way to get that S shape. Curving it down, out of the way. So it's these compound S shapes, and I still want to match up. So curve this way, curve that way. Curve this way, then curve that way. Curve this way, then curve that way. Curve this way, and so on. All right, so you can see like you still have that kind of triangular shape there, right? So you have that continuation, but unless it's transparent, you're going to pick something that's in front of something else like that, and figure out, in addition to that clear overlap, some shading that you can do further reinforce the idea of what's in front of what. You may also need to do something like this. Just try to get that overall sort of cylinder sort of idea, because if it's spiraled perfectly like this, then it's still kind of making a cylinder shape. It's just all sliced up. All right, I hope that helps.